How do you build one of the greatest empires in history without coins, markets, or merchants? No money, no banks. Yet somehow, a system that fed millions, built thousands of miles of roads, and never starved a single village. Welcome to the world of the Inca, a civilization that replaced currency with labor, order, and faith. The world above the clouds. The Andes, high, vast, and unforgiving. Snow peaks meet deserts, rainforests meet stone. Around the 13th century, from this impossible terrain, rose the Tawantinsuyu, the land of the four quarters. At its heart stood Cusco, a city shaped like a puma, gleaming with gold that was not for trade, but for the gods. The Incas didn't build markets. They built networks, roads, storehouses, and a hierarchy that turned survival into order. A society without money. In the Inca world, wealth was not counted in coins. It was measured in people, productivity, and balance. There were no merchants, no banks, no marketplaces like Tenochtitlan or Cahokia. Instead, every citizen owed something far more valuable: labor. This system was called the mita, a rotating obligation of work to the empire. One season, you might build roads. The next, harvest state fields. Then, join armies or build temples. The empire provided food, clothing, and security in return. It was a reciprocal economy, not a competitive one. The mita, currency of labor. The mita was genius in its simplicity. Every family contributed labor to the state. In return, the state guaranteed everyone's survival. It was, in a way, the first labor-based tax system, but without money. If a man built bridges, his family received maize, potatoes, and cloth from imperial storehouses. Work itself was the medium of exchange. The Inca didn't ask, "How much is this worth?" They asked, "Who owes service and to whom?" The architecture of control. Behind this smooth machinery was an intricate bureaucracy. Scribes called quipu kamayok recorded everything using quipu, color-coded knotted strings that represented numbers and categories. Each knot tracked population, labor, harvests, even marriages. These strings were the empire's data network, a kind of Andean blockchain, ensuring every potato and person was accounted for. With them, the state could redirect resources from coastal fisheries to mountain villages hundreds of miles away. It was central planning in fiber and memory. The Redistribution network. Along the royal roads stood storehouses, thousands of them. Inside, food, textiles, tools, and weapons, all categorized and ready for redistribution. When famine struck one region, officials opened these warehouses, delivering food to sustain entire provinces. No trading, no prices, just logistics and trust in imperial order. Economically, it was astonishing, a system where everyone worked and no one traded. Faith as financial glue. But how do you make millions obey such a system without rebellion? The Incas anchored their economy in religion. The Sapa Inca, the emperor, was considered the son of the sun. To work for him was to serve the gods. Every act of labor was an offering, every harvest a ritual of gratitude. The temples didn't just hold wealth, they sanctified it. Gold and silver weren't currencies. They were symbols of cosmic order. The empire functioned not by profit, but by belief. Local autonomy, the Ayu system. At the ground level, society revolved around the Ayu, a kinship group, like a communal family. Each Ayu managed land collectively. They shared harvests, raised animals, and cared for orphans and elders together. The state integrated these Ayu into its Mita system, balancing local autonomy with imperial demand. This dual structure, communal and centralized, kept stability across a territory spanning 4,000 kilometers. It was social engineering on a continental scale. Infrastructure, the road to power. Labor-powered ambition. Under Mita, Inca workers carved 25,000 miles of roads through mountains, deserts, and jungles. Bridges of woven grass crossed canyons. Relay runners carried messages faster than horses. These roads weren't for trade. They were for control, linking governors, armies, and storehouses in perfect order. The roads themselves were arteries of economic life, circulating labor, not money. The Inca storehouse, security without banks. Each province kept vast granaries, built on dry slopes for long-term preservation. Food was power. By controlling supply, the Inca controlled loyalty. When a disaster struck, a drought, an earthquake, the empire responded instantly. No famine, no hoarding, no bankruptcy. It was, in essence, a state-backed insurance system centuries before Wall Street existed. The limits of a moneyless world. Yet even perfection has limits. Without currency, innovation slowed. Local trade, though unofficially tolerated, had to operate in secrecy. When the Spanish arrived in the 1530s, they saw no markets and mistook it for primitivism. But the truth was deeper. The Inca system wasn't primitive, it was post-monetary. It worked as long as faith, order, and abundance held. But it could not withstand a foreign economy powered by gold and guns. The collapse and the legacy. In 1532, Pizarro captured the Sapa Inca, Atahualpa, and demanded a ransom of gold, a concept the Inca barely understood. Within years, their empire collapsed, not from rebellion, but from economic dissonance. The Spaniards brought coinage, markets, and private ownership, concepts alien to a world built on labor and reciprocity. Yet the Inca vision survived, in the communal practices of Andean villages, in the shared harvests, in the living memory of work as sacred duty. The world before capital, before capitalism, before banks, before the dollar, there was an empire that proved an economy could thrive on trust, obligation, and faith alone. The Inca didn't need money to build greatness. They needed coordination and purpose. Their story reminds us that wealth is not always what we own, but what we give, build, and sustain together.